Now I will request Dr. Bhavana Prasher, madam, to deliver her talk. I want to tell a very unique thing about madam. She pioneered the development of new field of Ayurgenomics in ICIR. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone, respected chairpersons and dignitaries, as well as all learned audience in the auditorium. I would we work in the area of interface between Ayurveda and genomics. Something went wrong. Okay. Slide alignment is like different, but it's okay, it's at least visible. Yeah, so since the topic of the today's conference was aging, longevity, so I just wanted to take you through the entire, starting from the beginning of the definition of Ayurveda. It actually incorporates how it talks about good and bad, what is good and bad for different walks of life. It also has a definition. By definition, it says manam cha tacha. That means it actually talks about life expectancy right from the definition of Ayurveda. And for that, it also enables phenotype based prediction and gives factors responsible for realization of the true potential. So right from the outset, it actually declares that this is a part of its discussion. And for that, and then the definition of Ayu also incorporates body, mind, senses, and soul, which means that even the prediction of life expectancy or the factors responsible for longevity will be encompassing all dimensions of life. So and towards that, it actually gives the twofold aim of healthy living as well as a disease-free life. And it does not just declare it as a mission statement, but also provides enough material in terms of three sutra Ayurveda, which is called as Hetu, Linga, and Aushadha, which is causative factors, both external environmental as well as internal biological, and lakshana, which are externally manifested, as well as internal pathophenotypes or the internal health phenotypes, and corresponding to that the medications to maintain it, to enhance it, and to alleviate the disorders. And the interconnections are actually the subject matter for translational medicine even today, and the stratified approach is important for predictive and personalized medicine. So, as Sir was mentioning about the definition of health by WHO, here are two definitions given by two acharyas of Ayurveda. One is Sushruta, which is talking more from the internal biological determinants of health in terms of samadosha, samadhatu. So it's all about good metabolic control leading to good excretory profile as well, and that all of it functions when well. It actually gives rise to the features of health. There is a biological determinants of health-wise definition, whereas Charaka gives more of a how it actually will appear to a common person as well as a clinician that a person is healthy. And this health is not just defined in a very strict sense as to only 8 hours of sleep and this much food you are able to take, or if you are able to walk this much minutes, then you are healthy. No, there's a lot of flexibility in describing even health, and that takes us to the subsequent variability that they have accounted for in these parameters. So as you would see here, there's a feeling of hunger and taste, ability to eat, timely digestion, timely appearance of sleep. So we were also listening to the talk of circadian rhythm. So they have never mentioned fixed parameters or fixed timings or fixed things. It's about your own rhythms and rhythm with the environment that you match to is what is described in health conditions. Now, where do we move from here? There is a variability also possible, not that everybody is same, and that variability, again, as I listed over here, body build, nourishment, these are the parameters on which they have described health, and the same parameters on which they describe variability, which can come because of tridosha, which is vat, pith, and kapha, which execute all the functions. And variability in the proportions right from the time of birth gives rise to the variability in the manifestation of the health features, and the same if goes haywire causes diseases. So and in this all of it, they also talk about the biological potential for life expectancy, and they also provide this can also provide for uncovering of biomarkers. So, phenotypic determinants of health, as I showed earlier. In addition to that, they have also given different dimensions of positive health, such as Vyadhiksham Sharir, means it will be able to resist the disorders, and if the disorders happen, they will be able to also come out of it very soon. So, how does a Vyadhiksham Sharir look like? So, what we struggle today in the modern medicine and modern science while doing research is that external manifested phenotypic determinants of positive health or in negative health, so that you can actually bin people into different on different scales, and that can lead us to identify differential molecular patterns that can give us to markers. So that is why I just put all these things, that these are the spectrum of health in a way described, both baseline health, variability in health, positivity of health, and this encompasses everything like proportionate and well-built musculature, balance in metabolism, tolerance and adaptability. Since morning we are listening to resilience, so they are actually talking about vikaranam balena na abhibhuyate, means they are not deterred by the diseases even if they occur. They have a tolerance for physical exertion and climatic conditions, immunity, disease resistance, and healing recovery. These are the factors, these are the phenotypic determinants of positive health. Similarly, there are converse is also given, the phenotypic determinants of low immunity and low robustness to different systems. And for each system, there is something called Khavai Gunda. You have organ specific vulnerabilities or organ specific robustness that they provide. Again, here there is a lot of emphasis on obesity and body build and metabolic patterns, as well as mental strength. Also there's a alpasattva, weak mental makeup. It can also lead to low immunity and low robustness of the systems. So this is the maturity with which they have described different spectra of health parameters, and it's a kind of a cluster of health related spectrum. So, as I said, a lot of spectrum of health, variability, multidimensional, positive health, physical, mental strength, and is given. Similarly, there are classifications of diseases also very well described in terms of cause. Like it starts from adibal pravruta, janmabal pravruta. Like they have been able to differentiate between hereditary as well as congenital disorders in terms of adibal, janmabal, doshbal. And last one is swabhavabal pravruta, which is a natural, as they were saying, that aging is a natural phenomena. One of the synonym of ayu they have said is nityagam. It's definitely going to go on, get reduced with time. And similarly, in the disease also, there is it's not that disease is also defined very strictly with a particular, only this much pattern is called that disease. They are also describing diseases with respect to stages, subtypes, severity. All this is calling for a personalized attention, both in maintenance of health as well as prevention of disease. And prevention of disease will call for a targeted prevention with a proactive and personalized approach, early detection and alleviation. This is till now it is health and maintenance of health, but they are also giving us biological mechanisms through which this will be restored or it is achieved. So the variability in health with prakriti is very well described in terms of clinical features, as I showed. And for maintenance, there are three major factors. Like you have to take care of your own prakriti, the geoclimatic condition in which you are living, the age, and the proper seasonal or circadian rhythms. So these three, if you keep in harmony, it will always, and to keep them in harmony, your tools are diet, lifestyle, environmental rhythming and all. So this is what is depicted over here, because Vat, Pitta, Kapha also undergo circadian and cyclical changes during the daytime, nighttime, as well as seasons and in the age. So you always have to keep matching it up with these dynamic changes, keeping your template prakriti mind. Is that is what has been prescribed. But it does not stop there. It doesn't say that you just maintain health and remain in the state of prakriti or health. It has it's a very empowering concept of rasayana, or going beyond your optimal state of health. It also asks to try for a higher state of health in terms of positive health features, which in the 4 lines they have described positive health features across all dimensions, including cognitive health, social, mental health, physical health, and as well as immune strength. So these are the things which they ask as a wellness goal, and not just describe it as a, they say it's like a perfect health, like a Greek god picture. No, they are actually giving measures to achieve it, and the measures are in terms of diet, lifestyle, as well as therapeutic measures in terms of. So there are 8 branches of Ayurvedic medicine, Ashtanga Ayurveda as they say. 2 special branches are dedicated only for achieving the positive health. And one of the branch that we are, since morning we have listened this term quite a lot, is rasayana. As Professor Kotecha in the morning only cited, what is the meaning of rasayana? It's not just to, it's not defensive. It's actually a proactive kind of a approach, where you are enhancing the level of nutrition of each body tissue, which will actually strengthen the organ system's health. That's called labhopayohi shastanam rasadinam rashayanam. And I would like to take a minute over here for the rasayana, because there are there are something called core rasayana, which can be a overall health and well-being enhancement, but there are also organ specific health related rasayanas described, which tell about even medhya, which is like for the cognitive health, for the skin health, for the muscle health, or for the organ system related health. And they have been able to so clearly discriminate between something which is jivaniya, which is good for regeneration, versus something which is going to retard the aging. So it's a vayasthapan. So it's a stopping the aging, versus something which will enhance the quality of tissue which is being built. So it only tells that they had a great idea about how these things are different, and how each of it will require a different kind of an attention, and accordingly made classes of medicines. They have made classes of these medicines as to jivaniya, vayasthapan, prajasthapan. So that means there's going to be a slight difference in the mechanism of action of these things. And I think that forms the basis of our question: how can we integrate this knowledge of clinical phenotypes of health spectrum and therapeutic interventions with modern biology research? Can we identify multi-omic markers for predictability and targetability using this kind of phenotypic stratification of health, and identification of people with not so positive health versus positive health parameters present? That's what I meant by phenotypic stratification, both at baseline as well as with respect to positive health. Can we identify therapeutic molecules for retardation of aging process? I'm saying retardation. I'm not just saying that we can reverse, but first target can be retardation of aging process. And can there be something to enhance the longevity? And are there are there biological basis described for these kind of rasayana therapy in Ayurveda? So this is just a depiction of 2 approaches. Trisutra, I bring it back over here: causes, features, and therapeutics. Can we take features for stratification of population into prakriti groups, as well as uh, Vyadiksham Sharir, Avyadiksham Sharir, or positive health phenotypes, and get to the biological basis of it through multi-omic analysis of these phenotypically stratified individuals, and identify predictive markers or therapeutic targets? On the other hand, we have a very good delicate, class of different rasayanas. Can we ask for their mechanisms of action and identify? And this can be done not only through known mechanism or known target, molecular target pathways, such as senescence inhibitors or senolytics, or maybe telomere length maintenance genes, or DNA methylation, things which affect DNA methylation. These are the known, very known pathways through which this can be queried. But my feeling is that we can also identify novel combinatorial targets which will together lead to this positivity of health. So if we were to query in a systematic manner, can we actually achieve this? Also, why phenotypic stratification? Because we have multiple markers we can go on doing, and we can do data driven clusters as well. But so far the studies that we see to identify genetic factors or molecular markers responsible for longevity or aging, people have generally done it using centenarian cohorts, or and then comparing it with the youth, and then looking. So it's actually looking at the final phenotype of people who have lived the long life and compare with the younger adults. But can there be predictability, and for that can we use this Ayurveda's health spectrum stratification approach to identify? So, no, though we have not directly worked for the longevity related markers and all, just wanted to share, I mean, excitement that way back in 1997, when I was doing MD in Jamnagar at Gujarat Ayurveda University, my thesis was on fundamental concept of OJS and its role in attaining positive health and as a preventive measure. So OJ is a biological entity which through which this rasayana therapy works, and that further does this positive health, brings about this positive health outcomes. Another thing that through the Aushadha approach that in our Ayurgenomics laboratory at CSIR, what we have done is we have tried to one of the herb that Professor Kotecha was mentioning was Tinospora cordifolia, which is guduchi, and it has been shown to have immunomodulatory several benefits even in the modern scientific. One of the thing that we queried is whether different T cell subsets, when they get a polarizing environment and they actually are seen in different disease conditions, whether Tinospora cordifolia does anything to T cell subset related polarization. So one of the study that we have completed and published in Frontiers is about this, that what we find in nutshell is that because this is rasayana, it's not so if you give a polarizing condition like an inflammatory milieu, it in that, if guduchi is given, it actually shows an anti-proliferative effect, whereas if it is given to the naive cells, it doesn't actually cause anti-proliferation. It almost like it decides when to act and in how much. So that's the property of an homeostasis or homeodynamics thing that a rasayan can actually showcase. So amongst the one of the studies that we have done is about the population stratification using prakriti methods, and looked at the genetic and molecular correlates underlying different prakriti healthy individuals coming from the same geoclimatic condition, falling in the same age group but stratified by prakriti. And if we take end of the spectra, vat, end of the spectra, pitta and kapha, not mixed prakriti individuals, assuming that these individuals will have respective doshas function much more well expressed in their systems. So what we find is that we find an hypoxia responsive, hypoxia sensing gene to be differing between pit cuff individuals. There's also a genetic gene expression pattern difference we see in DNA damage, checkpoint cell cycle arrest related biological processes, related genes to be differentially expressed. So only thing is to tell that if you were to look at these things at the cellular level, whether vat pit kapha function even at the cellular level, and if the differences between vat dominant versus pit dominant versus kapha dominant cell lines, do you see those differences? So this is just to tell that the phenotypic stratification and identification of multi-omic markers that I am talking about, we have been able to see, and we have been able to publish in respective journals also. One other thing that we have then subsequently done is development of lymphoblastoid cell lines from the extreme prakriti individuals of vat, pitta and kapha, and looked at whether the expression profile at the organism level that we using the peripheral blood that we saw, do we see any pattern of it even at the single cellular level. So I read 51, one of the cell cycle DNA repair related gene we had seen to be differentially expressed amongst Vat, Pitta, Kapha, Prakriti, where it was highly expressed in Vat, was also replicated in another cohort. And then we also looked at the cell cycle and proliferation baseline differences at the cellular level. So what we find is that the take home message over here is that at the cellular level also you can see the cellular phenotypes and cellular proliferation such processes, like things varying amongst healthy individuals of different extreme prakriti. And this response at this baseline difference can actually also confer differential outcome in stress conditions such as UV response. This we have also published in a journal called Cell Cycle. And only to say that these differences are possible to reveal, and we have subsequently also seen the hypoxia, normobaric hypoxia response in extreme prakriti cell lines, and we identified that common pathways do get triggered in all prakriti. Still, there are specific pathways which get triggered in response to same environmental stress. There is a slightly different transcriptomic response visible, which points towards differential outcomes in different health conditions, and also points towards whether specific kinds of rasayana or specific kinds of therapeutic dosha specifying medicines can actually provide for better outcomes in stress. So these are the publications related to stress response that we have observed both at physiological level as well as cellular level. And with this, I would like to stop my presentation, and I would like to acknowledge CSIR IGIB entire team of Ayurgenomics and ACSIR funding agency. We are also supported by Ministry of Ayush and in the form of Center of Excellence at present. So with that, I would thank you very much.